Hello everyone, my name is Mitzi Campos and today I will be informing you about the influence Frank III and Lorenzo Fertitta had on the hospitality industry in Las Vegas through their many projects and involvements. Well, who is Frank III and Lorenzo Fertitta? They are brothers who came to be known as owners and operators of both station casinos and the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Frank Fertitta attended the Stern School of Business in New York, earning his Master's of Business Administration in 1987. He can be seen in the picture to the right on the slide. On the other hand, his younger brother Lorenzo Fertitta graduated in 1991 from San Diego School of Business. After graduating, both brothers worked to develop and improve the family business. Now, it is almost impossible to not think of a company that isn't Station Casinos when you hear the words local casinos. They have catered and expanded to Las Vegas locals like no others. Now the question is, how did they get involved in Ultimate Fighting League Club and the casino industry and become so successful in both? First, I wanted to discuss how the brothers gained interest in the sport. It was in the 90s when they ran into an old classmate, Dana White, who at the time was a UFC manager, that ignited their interest. The brothers learned more about the sport, even met MMA fighters, and were taking lessons at their local gym. They couldn't get enough of the sport and they wanted to be more involved in the sport. So in 2001, when the sport was struggling due to being banned in many cable TV channels, they decided to make a $2 million deal to buy the UFC and name their classmate Dana White the president. They are businessmen, so they wanted to turn this thrilling sport into a profitable operation. So they began by outlawing nasty tactics and putting rules to refine and regulate the sport, which led to the sport being one of the most successful today, with their 100th UFC event airing live in 51 countries. Frank and Lorenzo Fertitta first gained gaming exposure through their father, Frank Fertitta Jr., who was actually a bellman at the Tropical Hotel Casino on the Las Vegas Strip. Later on, Frank Fertitta Jr. went on to buy a slot joint along with three others, and he named it Bingo Palace Casino. Later on, he added things like restaurants, a bingo hall, and more gaming amenities. Then in 1984, he bought out his partners with intentions to expand the business, and he renamed the property Palace Station. Soon enough, Frank Fertitta Jr. had his sons shadowing him and watching his every move to help them learn about how the casino operated and how the business was done. It was in the early 1990s when Frank Fertitta Jr. decided to hand off the family business to his eldest son, Frank III, to oversee the operation. Later on, he was joined by his brother Lorenzo Fertitta. Together, the brothers managed and oversaw the company together. Under the supervision of the corporation, the brothers went public in 1993, making the company one of the largest in Southern Nevada with 17 properties under their name at the time. Moreover, they introduced many innovative ideas such as the boarding pass, which was a program that rewarded players who played at any of their properties. They also introduced the jumbo jackpots that were up to $100,000 and $150,000. They even went further by rewarding players who had a good hand by lost and rewarding players with a $50 free play. The great rewards attracted many customers, made locals happy, and created many loyal customers. To give you a greater understanding of how many properties they opened and how quickly they worked, here we have a list of some of the properties that they opened. First, we have Boulder Station, which was opened in 1994. Then Texas Station was opened the following year in 1995. Then in 1996, they opened both Barley's Casino and Sunset Station. In 2001, they opened Green Valley Ranch. Then years later, in 2006, they opened the luxurious $925 million Red Rock Resort. More recently, they purchased and opened properties such as Santa Fe and Fiesta Rancho. There was a time when the Fertitta brothers decided to shift focuses. While working on expanding their station casino business, the brothers were focused also on the Ultimate Fighting Championship. The brothers had pumped at least $40 million in order to get the business running and take a complete 180 into a successful business. However, it was Lorenzo Fertitta who had decided that they would mostly focus on the UFC while Frank Fertitta focused on the family business station casinos. Regardless of the shift focuses, both brothers still held ownership in both businesses. At the time, Lorenzo Fertitta focused on hiring individuals like Mark Ratner to be his right-hand man for government relations, working hard to get plenty of media coverage, distributing their content internationally, introducing video games, and much more. Lorenzo and Dana White worked very closely together at this time, where with the big companies like Spike Television, Fox Sports, while operating and expanding station casinos was left to Frank Fertitta. Then there came a time where selling the UFC was in the best interest of the Fertitta brothers in order to focus on the casino industry. Then, after buying the $2 million organization and dedicating so much time and effort into the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the Fertitta brothers sold their primary ownership in 2016 for $4 billion. At the time, this was the largest sale of a single sports organization in history, and it was definitely a huge win for the brothers. The organization was sold to a company directed by the American talent agency named WMEIMG. The main reason that the Ferrittas decided to sell to this group was because they had great plans for the UFC, plans that they felt they could not put enough time or money into. And they wanted to see the UFC thriving and succeeding after all the work that they had put into it. This new company included plans for the UFC, such as a 10-month digital streaming platform, a fight pass, and future opportunities in Asia, which would expand the reach of the sport. Ultimately, creating new opportunities for new viewers, more revenue, and great reach was the plan of this new company. By selling the UFC, the Fertitta brothers were able to mainly focus on their casino empire once again, with amazing projects like Red Rock Resorts. Now I want to focus on one of their most famous properties, the creation of Red Rock Resorts. This was led by Frank and Lorenzo Fertitta. They were inspired by the resort atmosphere of the casinos on the Las Vegas Strip, but they wanted to add contemporary elegance and make it attractive to the 21st century clientele. The $925 million Red Rock Resorts, located on the western edge of Las Vegas, had its grand opening on April 18, 2006. It opened with 415 hotel rooms, 3,000 slot machines, 62 table games, 11 restaurants, 4 entertainment venues, and a 94,000 square foot meeting space. It also included a luxury spa, a centerpiece pool area, and much more amenities. The luxury presented by this hotel's reddish-brown desert theme and unique upscale amenities separated the resort from the rest. It was a property that many locals and tourists wanted to visit. I also wanted to touch base on one of their newest projects, Durango Station, which is expected to come to Las Vegas in October of 2023 on Durango Drive. This project actually dates back to the early 2000s when plans for Durango Station Casino were developing, and the opening was actually planned for 2011. Originally, the plans included 201 rooms, a casino, a meeting space, various restaurants, a movie theater, an arcade, and even a 190,000 square foot retail center attached to the casino. In the second phase, they plan to open 525 more hotel rooms. However, the company later released a statement stating that the opening of the project would be delayed due to market conditions, which was referring to the recession at the time. Fast forwarding to today, the company and hotel industry is in a much better place than before. So the Durango station is planning to attempt their grand opening later this year. So we have a new project to look forward to. As we come to the closing of my presentation, I would like to thank you for listening. I hope that you have learned about how Lorenzo and Frank Fertitta came to own station casinos and how their leadership through the years has led us to amazing resorts that target locals such as Red Rock Resorts and their newest project Durango Station, and also how they impacted the UFC. If you are interested in learning more about this topic, I have provided my sources in the following slide. Thank you for listening.